this doesn't go through, I'm just going to give up for a bit. I got nothing, guys. I'm pretty sure Twitch is just being Twitch right now, so whatever. Now, I know we said that Lock Stereo actually starts into Sabins, but I always like to do Sabins last, because Sabins is huge and awesome. So like I said, God, just going to try and jump right back into this here. Locke scenario, he's already been doing quite a few things to try and screw up the Imperial occupation of the area. One of the things I've often said that people need to actually understand, or I shouldn't say need to understand, but it helps, is to understand that the world of Final Fantasy VI is not a world that's populated by 200 people. I forget the exact number. It's been tabulated in the past. I forget the exact number. But anyways, the point being, it's not a lot. There's like 10 towns or so, something like that. It's pathetic, right? The best way that has ever been to say this, and I've heard other people mention this as well, and I've heard a few of the developers say that they always thought of it in this direction. Oh god, I'm already losing frames. You gotta be kidding me. No, okay, it's coming back. It's coming back. What in the hell is going on? Hey, Rickard. What's going on, man? Okay. Just gonna watch that for a bit. Is that the idea that these aren't cities, that these are city-states? Now, I know what you're saying. What's the difference? Someone name a city in the United States. A big city that you're aware of is the point. You know, it's a city you either have lived in the past, or have been to, or have traveled to. So I can use it as an example so you'll understand what I mean by this. Well, Lich King hasn't breathed in years, but LA is a great example. Okay, so for those of you not aware, LA is actually a really small city. I mean this sincerely, LA is actually pretty dinky. The greater LA metropolitan area, which is the term for it, is huge. The greater New York City metropolitan area, the greater Dallas metropolitan area, blah, 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 blah. Chicago, Atlanta is a good example. I mean, I live in the greater Atlanta, blah, 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 blah area. I'm like 20 minutes away from Atlanta proper, though, right? That's the point. That's what you. And I know it's adjustive. I know it relies on you interpreting things in a way, and blah blah blah. And that's a limitation of the times, and blah-vitty frickin' blah. I will freely admit that for several people, I could see that being a negative. Whoa, because they have to interpret this as not just a town, but a city-state, a metropolitan area. In other words, the idea here being that South Figaro is a huge region. Covers miles and miles, which include little towns and farmsteads and houses and other, you know, all sorts of things like that, rather than just being this one town. Because they literally couldn't do it with the tech. Nowhere is this shown better in the CGI movie that came out with the PS1 version of FF6, where they show off Vector. If you haven't looked at it, look at it sometime, and you'll see exactly what I mean by this. Vector in the game is dinky. It's not even the largest town in the game. It's this tiny little area. But when you see Vector in that CG thing, it's this sprawling metropolis. And the huge, it just reaches off into the horizon, right? So that's so like I said, this isn't just me making this up here. This is something that developers themselves thought of. So I mention this because this really helps shine a light onto the politics and onto the geopolitics of the situation, on how this world works. Think of every one of these places as a city-state, a metropolitan area, a major hub of activity, and keep in mind there are other towns here and there that are just not important enough to be on the map, and that really helps flesh out the world significantly. They did this with FF7, too, actually. That was another thing. They wanted to do this exact same idea. Yeah, exactly, Samurai. I remember, yeah, you know what? I probably could just bring it up. I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to mess with that. I'm having enough issues with streaming right now without streaming something from YouTube. I don't feel like dealing with that problem right now. So why is this relevant to this right now? Locke has spent God knows how much time. We don't actually know. I estimate it's at least days, possibly in the week range, you know, the weeks range. Just running around trying to stop troop movements and harass and scout and sabotage and all that fun stuff. And of course he's uniquely trained to do that. But I mention it because it really helps emphasize both the size and the scope of Locke's task here. I'm going to see if I can do the trick. Nah, I shouldn't, actually, because I don't want to do the trick. I won't be able to beat the game then. Okay, so this section is the so-called stealth section of FF6. For those of you not aware, this is something that this game and the other game I intend to look at soon, which I'm really looking forward to looking at, I feel like pointing out, both did. In other words, they both went for that variety. Remember I mentioned earlier the roller coaster sections? This is another thing. This section with Locke, there is a typical section of the game once we're done here, but this initial section of the game is basically just a stealth section in an RPG. But it's a stealth section in the weirdest way, because getting caught just resets you, basically. The actual penalty... Well, okay, it's... it's kind of a weird situation, because I'm running around town. There are no random encounters here at all. The only random encounters are those down below, which, like I said, that's when the game reverts to a more typical circumstance. But you can actually steal the clothing off of a soldier, a lower-ranked soldier. The green soldiers are apparently the underclass, so to speak, and a merchant. And so, and you have this ability to steal these clothings, and it actually changes what everyone says to you. I've actually gone through this game, a few 100 trillion times, and you actually have to manipulate and work your way around this town and know how to get around in just such a way. There we go. See, so if you're a merchant, you can go through here, for example. There's actually another way around here, which I won't go into right now. I may have to leave soon, just as a heads up. I'm going to get some grocery work done. Or not grocery, store stuff. Anyway, so you can go like this in order to bypass that soldier up there. If you talk to him as a soldier, he'll go on break, and then you could walk through there, and there's all sorts of stuff you can do. The Magitech guys, they always fight you. So you basically want to avoid those. But you see why I mean this is just different. It was a wonderful break in the standard gameplay. You know, the river raft, roller coaster thing was going through there, and then we go through this. Excuse me, you go through this, and it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's cool. It's a nice break. It's a nice variance on gameplay, and I like that, and it's awesome. Now, obviously, we're going to go with the default path of how we're supposed to do this, which is talk to this guy. Come on. Ugh, really? Obviously, and you saw this earlier, if you successfully steal, the battle just ends, too. So there's no need to actually defeat these enemies. Now, if you have... You know what? Just for you guys, I'm going to arrange it so I have the soldier uniform on when I go down. It's actually... You have to specifically go out of the way you do it, but I'm still going to do it just for you guys, just to show off one line of dialogue. But I want to point it out, because most of you people... There's 3 ways to approach Celis's room. In your default clothes, in the merchant clothes, or in the soldier clothes. We're going to try the soldier clothes, which is the most difficult, and the other 2 are equally easy. It's very easy. If you talk to the people around here, they're all like, I'm not buying anything. If you walk around here as a soldier, they will start chatting about the Doma invasion. They will start chatting about all of the other things that are happening in the world right now. And that's awesome, in my opinion. Yeah, Deutsch, haven't you ever seen this? Like I just did. Yeah, the enemies turn into B-Day suit. Took me a while to figure out what that meant, too. So now, how do I get over there? Well, I talk to this guy. He goes on break. And I'll show off a little bit of what I meant by the cafe thing here, just really quick. So you go in here. All these guys, if you're normal clothes, they're like, hey! If you're in a merchant clothes, they say, I'm not buying anything. If you're in soldier clothes, they start giving chat, like this was a normal town. Time to guard the passage under the mansion. There are 2 secret tunnels, and they talk about Celis, and they talk about... It's all over the place. It's some good stuff. So we need to do this. Can I... that's what I thought. Okay. Some of the soldiers just say, "Get back to your post." If you go in here as a normal or as a merchant, these people badmouth the soldiers. If you go in here as a soldiers, they just say, "Huh," which is, that's basically a Woolseyism of them being incredibly rude and cussing you out, basically. I know, cusses don't really work that way in Japanese. Notice they're already working on the invasion of Narsh, by the way. As of this point in time, the invasion of Narsh has already been set. Ah, that's right, hang on. So, okay, here's the thing. This is why I say it's hard to actually make this work. What I have to do... Oh, good, Brakeman. Tylenol, woo! I have to actually go get a merchant outfit now, which I can do over here, in order to get back to the other side of town, in order to give him the cider, open the passageway. And once the passageway is open, then I have to go and steal a soldier outfit in order to do it. It varies on my mood, Progressive, but the most common orders that I do is the one I'm doing right now, a.k.a. construction material. That's loud. A.k.a. Edgar, and then Locke, and then Savin. There it is. I knew he was over here. So now I gotta go back to Merchant. Hey, what's up, Brian? Stretch. You gotta give me a minute. I like how they have animations for most of the soldiers' frames, too, so even if I'm a soldier, or a merchant for that matter, you know, you still got all that. I'm gonna go ahead and give a plus to... Well, it definitely gets a gameplay plus for the stealth section here. I'm not sure if it gets a plus for story. I'll have to think about that. I know a lot of people who didn't even know this passage was right there, too, back in the day. Okay, so I'm a merchant. I give him the cider. He says, "Oh, I forget." The password is Rosebud. No, it's actually Courage. Okay, that's open. Now we go steal another soldier outfit really quick here. Oh, good. First try. And of course, the birthday suit guy escapes because of course he does. I mean, you literally just stole his clothes. By the way, guys, I know you all like Zidane, but I'm sorry, Locke is the definitive thief. He steals people's clothes while they're still wearing them. I mean, seriously. Just think about it. Alright, so here we are in the soldier outfit. Get a couple things there. Yeah, Locke did too, Samurai. Okay, so this is a great sequence. This is build-up. I know we've all played this game a billion times, so this scene probably doesn't have the impact it really should anymore. But I want you to really put yourself in the moment, okay? The music here, martial law. It's the first time we hear this song, martial law. One of the towns we've been through has been conquered. We're at this point in the game, we're probably like 2-3 hours into the game. Nowhere, in other words, right? And already the very first town, you know, the first real town like I talked about, is conquered. We've lost. The Empire has already moved in and taken it. And then the music goes out. And it's just silent. All you can hear is the doors opening. Right? I need to do this. Or no, I already did that. And then there's this faint wind in the distance. This ties into the hint, by the way, because you're not actually supposed to know about that secret passage until now, when they specifically tell you to look for the room that is drafty. And you go into this room, and this room is when you start to hear that. Then it gets a little louder. Then the music starts up again. And then this happens. We meet one of my favorite characters ever. Being savagely beaten by her own troops. Now, we get a lot of information about Celis's character over the years, but one of the things I find most fascinating is her backstory. Oh, that's not slapping, that's punching in the gut. This is how, so that scene's a little different, because we can just hang out, we're in an Imperial uniform, so, you know. It wasn't in the original Japanese Deutsch. Also, she's one of the only characters in the entire game that has that sprite of being chained up. Remove her chains. Gotta get a Star Wars joke in here really quick. This is, by the way, a deliberate reference to Star Wars. There are several. I've mentioned these many times previously, during lore runs and whatnot. The makers of this game really liked Star Wars. But yeah, a lot of deliberate references to Star Wars here. Anyway, so I'm going to pause for a moment because we need to talk about Celis. It's mentioned twice in the entire game that Celis was specifically bred to be what she is. She's also very young, 18 as of this point in time in the game. Gestalt is much older. What's the relevance of this? Celis very likely was literally bred in the way that people used to do, the whole blue blood garbage, in order to be this kind of soldier, in order to be the kind of person who is actually, well, genetically engineered. Nowadays, we think of genetically engineered, we think of technology, we think of, you know, vials and Khan Noonien Sings and, you know, all that fun stuff. But back in the day, genetic engineering still existed, especially for animals, actually. It just meant specifically choosing certain people or certain animals and basically forcing them to breed to try and produce viable results, and blah, yada, yada. It's chocobo breeding all over again, just like an FF7, except in real life, much more difficult and much more long-term. Yeah, it's eugenics. That's all it is. My reason for bringing this up is we don't know how long Celis was bred, and you know how far back the line goes, but there is absolutely no denying that at the very least her parents were probably not people who loved each other or cared about each other or wanted to have a child. They were kind of bred together. Breeding stock. Note that what little we learned about Celis's childhood indicates that she had a remarkably similar situation to what Terra had, but for different reasons. Terra either never formed memories or simply lacks the ability to remember the memories of her childhood, because from a very young age she had that damn crown on her head and was walking around as basically an advanced golem for the Empire. What is Celis's childhood? Celis was raised by Gestalt, by Cid. Remember he mentions that? Cid is effectively her only parental unit. The only one who was there to take care of her when she was still young. And the entire time she was being nothing more than trained and honed to be this perfect Magitech knight. This ideal that Gestalt wanted so badly to lead his new glorious future as he conquered the world. She didn't get a childhood either, but for different reasons. She has all those memories, it's just none of them are good. And that is definitely a plus to story, by the way. Because Celis. By the way, it is implied Kefka was not bred, you know, to be this Magitech knight, and that may or may not have anything to do with anything. We know basically nothing about Kefka's past, and indeed probably never will. No! One of the interesting things about this section is it's pretty damn dark when you think about it. Yeah, we're doing a real review here, Deutsch. Old-fashioned stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, she comes equipped with nothing, just to really emphasize the fact that she was a prisoner. I like that. It's a tiny little touch, but you know, it gets across the point rather nicely. Nope, I want to save too. Keep forgetting I'm not speedrunning. Wait. Eh? Oh, yeah, okay, we're good, we're good. One of the other things I'm asked about every now and again is Runic. It is my opinion, I've really nothing to base this off of other than the way the game is structured, that Runic is a unique representation of the Magitech infusion Celes had when she was very young. In other words, it is literally a unique ability to her, as opposed to, you know, some kind of natural manifestation of a Magitech Knight. Kind of. I like to think of this as a review gimmick. As wild and crazy as that sounds. Now, another nice little thing. Every enemy we fight in here is an Imperial soldier of some kind. Now, I like that because it says, without ever having to actually say, that we're being followed, we're being chased. The Empire is aware of the fact that they've been infiltrated, they're aware of the fact that Celes has escaped, and they are actively trying to reclaim her. Again, whether or not the message to Leo happens as a result of this, or as a result of her going traitor, we don't know. But literally, no matter which it is, Celes going traitor is significantly and directly responsible for the poisoning of Doma, thanks to the situation it afforded Kefka. Note that I am not blaming that on Celes, but there is no denying the chain of events there, no matter how you interpret it. You know what? No, that actually deserves another plus. Let's go ahead and put that into gameplay. The fact that we've got all these Imperial troops following us to emphasize the circumstance and situation, and the tie-ins to the significance happening in the Doma story, which I've already referenced. God, I have no gold. I'm sorry, Chemic. May God have mercy on your soul. Now, there's one other thing about Celes. I think I'll mention that later. Actually, I'll remember to mention that later. By the way, it took me a while to figure out why they called them vector pups. Like, what does a vector have to do with anything? It took me a while to realize they're actually literally referring to vector, the location. There we go. You know, the capital of the Empire, the Gestalian Empire. And let's get a ribbon. Up, which is down here somewhere. There we go. Ah. Even better, Shadow. What if Shion gave Vivi his life back? Anyway, so, damn it, Samurai, shut up. shoot, I had something else to share here. Oh, one of the other things I like about this sequence, Celis is in every way Locke's superior at this point in time. You know, well, maybe not in terms of experience, since Locke has a lot of that and a great ability to think on his feet, cunning, that kind of thing. But Celis is a career soldier. This is a woman who has led battles, successful battles, multiple times, you know? And she's a frontline general. That's emphasized many times. She's the kind of person who does lead from the front. Good with a sword, and has the ability to cast magic, right? Why is all this significant? Well, what's Locke? A guy with a dagger and some skill and cunning? You know. But the point is, the whole point of this section, and this is the other reason I did believe this deserved a plus. I didn't just give it for the Celis thing. The other reason I believe this deserved an additional plus is this whole section, as you're going through here, this is all optional, so that's awesome, first of all. But second of all, as you're going through, you have the ability to actually pick up additional gear, which is specifically geared for her. Now, this is a weird example of gameplay and story integration and segregation at the same time, because normally, you know, that would make no sense. There's just random, there's a sword lying around, or there's a shield lying around, but that's not the point. The point is Celis is so damaged from her imprisonment. She is so damaged from having been beaten up by her own troops that as we go through the situation and get these gear, in gameplay, Celis is starting to overtake Locke in terms of capacity. In lore, Celis is starting to get back on her feet and overtake Locke in terms of capacity. You see how that works? But at all points in time, Locke never actually treats her like she's his superior. He never treats her like she's the frontline general and she's the one who needs to be in the front. Because it's Locke. Because he's a good guy, and he obviously imprints on her immediately. You remember back in the thing, he finds a woman who is an Imperial General. He knows she's an Imperial General. There is no way in hell Locke does not know who General Celis is. But he imprints on her and sees her and says, nope, I'm on your side, let's go. Doesn't even hesitate. Doesn't even question it. Why would he? Why would he? And she's just in shock. What? I'm just a general. No, I don't give a damn. Let's go. Come on. And then that culminates in this scene, which I was just pausing before I walked into here. Why are you helping me? He says, well, you kind of remind me of someone. Now, I find that interesting. Because physically, Rachel and Celis look absolutely nothing like each other. So I'm wondering if there was ever a situation Rachel was in similar to the one Celis was in that reminds him of the two situations. Because there's no denying he is referring to Rachel there. Yeah, exactly. Or the heroine, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there you go, White Knight. Alright, there we go. Guys, I gotta go get some shopping done. I do not know when I'll be back. I do not know if I'll be streaming tonight. I will be streaming tomorrow, if I am doing so. Hopefully the connection will actually stay this time. I have a couple thoughts on possibly figuring that out. So, one way or another, I'll either see you later tonight, or more likely, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.